Yo, what's going on YouTube? We're gonna leave the webcam off for this one today. We are covering this picture on the right, man. The big update today from Call of Duty directly on their Twitter. They posted this image on the right and they said, just as we remembered it. Gang, it seems like everything we've covered, especially all the leaks we've covered on the channel, are absolutely coming true. Floating loot is slated to return. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, big deal, floating loot. It changes the dynamic of fluidity in a battle royale so much more than people actually understand. I think that it's like something that's overlooked, just like the swimming aspect in a battle royale. Swimming slows down gameplay unbelievably. Even if there's boats or jet skis, it still slows down the flow of the map. On top of that, floating loot not being present will slow down a game. Floating loot makes a game fly by, like turbo time. What I'm getting at is when the loot is piled up on the ground, you are having to look at the ground to get it. You're having to bring your FOV, your field of view, below a state of where you can see potential players, and then it piles on top of each other and it gets phased. When loot is floating, it does not touch each other. It's all individually spaced and it's at a higher level so you can see threats coming up. When Call of Duty and Warzone made the integration have loot laying on the ground, that was the first thing I noticed. When I go to loot stuff, it'd like phase into the ground. You couldn't pick up certain things or it'd be overlapping. So now you're trying to like wiggle to the right angle just to be able to pick up an object. Even running over the loot, it wouldn't detect to pick up the ammo automatically. Like it was too low for your player model to even grab. Like there's some sort of magnet with your player model that definitely sucks up ammunition, and it definitely didn't work well for plates or for bullets with loot on the ground. Now when loot was floating, everything was in a perfect circle, so it floats in a perfect radius. Even these three pieces right here, they make like a little triangle, like they're always going to revolve around each other. And you can see exactly what you're going to get. Like obviously the plates are going to look very distinct when they're standing up, rather than if this was all piled on the ground, you got plates and a gun laying on top of it, and then you got maybe munitions laying on the side of it. All this is so easy to see. And when you're looking at what's floating, if you only need plates and ammo, you don't have to look down when it's floating like that. You just run through it like it's a kill bonus in zombies, you know? If it's like a insta kill or a max ammo, it's the same principle. You're just running through it rather than having to look down and actually pick up. It also helps show you weapon builds a lot easier. If you, like, let's say you kill somebody with their loadout and you don't have the loadout, when the weapon's floating, you can actually make out attachments. Like if this were to have a foregrip, you'd actually notice it. You can tell what the rear grip is. You can tell what the stock is. Rather than when it's laying on the ground, you got grass covering it up, bushes, whatever it may be. This will increase the flow of the game so much more than people realize. There's so many small quality of life changes that happened when Warzone 2 came out that we didn't ask for, that ruined the game, and like buy stations being overcomplicated. That slows the game down when you're having to scroll menu through menu through menu to figure out. When they took floating loot away, that's when people started having problems like, oh, I can never find ammunition, or I never have plates. It's like, yeah, you don't. They disappear, or they're hard to pick up. Like no one wants to have to slow down and crouch and stare at the ground and try to pick something up and get zapped from behind when you can just run through it. You can see it, its presence there, and if they don't have it, you know it's not there. It's not floating. You know, it's so much more fluid that they're doing that. So hopefully that integrates good into Warzone 2's engine, because you know we're still technically on Warzone 2's engine. Another thing, the reason I have this image pulled up, we talked about this the other day, how the water looks more vibrant, the dams kind of thawed out. You know, we see the water running, water flowing, and we talked about how water it can be a killer because you know all this was frozen and you're able to drive right through it. But if it's too deep or it's, you know, you can't drive vehicles through it, that's a hindrance. Now it's like instead of being able to cross at any of these points in a vehicle freely, you'd have to go around or just abandon your vehicle and find another. Well, reports are saying from the gameplay from today, there's been gameplay, that you can completely go through these. They are shallow water. They're actually so shallow you can't even swim in them. And this water actually stops about here. There's no water, you know, past TV station. Maybe up here a little bit, but not enough to write home about. I mean, water is not going to be an issue in Verdansk at all, and that was something that you weren't too sure about when you saw this image. I mean, they made it very prominent that there were two like little streams right here, little rivers, but it's not like that, man. So look, water's not going to be an issue. Floating loot is coming back. OG vehicles are coming back, and they're reverting to Warzone 1's driving mechanics. I mean, if these leaks keep rolling out at this pace, it's as exciting as it is. It's almost frustrating, because why didn't they do this 2 years ago when they saw the player base declining? I hate that player base had to drop 125 million players for them to decide, all right, we got to pull the nuke out. We gotta bring out what worked. When they could have done this the whole time and just kept growing and growing and growing. But regardless, game, we are 12 days away until the boy lands right here. You already know where I'm landing. I'm landing right here. I'm gonna fly right into those doors and catch a crazy dub at Superstore. Gang, listen, if y'all are new to the channel, enjoy the content, man, hit that sub button, crush that like button. I will catch you all tomorrow for another heater. Let's get it, gang.